I've had people say, nope, forgiveness is earned. They have to earn it. If they didn't think enough of you not to hurt you or not to say things to you or not to treat you the way they did that caused you to need to forgive them, they're not going to earn it because they don't care. Why are you carrying around their burden, that hurt they put? You're only harming yourself.
Hey, welcome to the podcast where dreams meet determination and success is just around the corner. I'm your host, Suzanne Taylor-King, and I'm here to help you unlock the full potential of your business and your life. Welcome to Unlock Your Way with STK. Let's unlock your path to success together. Good morning, everyone. Suzanne Taylor-King here for another episode of Unlock Your Way with STK. I'm STK, and this a lovely human, Nicole Harvick, quantum energy healer and forgiveness expert, is joining me today. We were lucky enough to get connected and just have so many incredible things in common. I couldn't wait to have this conversation today. Welcome, Nicole.
Thank you so much, Suzanne. I'm excited to be here. I've been looking forward to this. So I'm glad we're finally here and I'm glad we're finally talking.
Yes. It's just been so wonderful to kind of be in your orbit and your energy a little bit. One of the things I love most about positive psychology is the influence of gratitude and forgiveness. And since you're all about those things, I really want to dive into that today and how forgiveness can really transform your life, especially as a business owner. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to have things we screw up on, whether it's something from high school, childhood, or last week in business. Forgiving yourself might be the number one skill for an entrepreneur.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I feel like is we've been put here to learn. It's the earth is a learning station in my opinion. And I've been talking about forgiveness for many, many years. And I was so taken aback by how many people resist it, that they do not want to forgive. And I think the biggest thing that people have to understand is that forgiveness is for you. It's not for that other person. I mean, they can benefit from it because when we forgive and when we start to heal, we become that ripple that goes out into the universe and from our field. But I've had people say, nope, forgiveness is earned. They have to earn it. And I always tell people that if they didn't think enough of you not to hurt you or not to say things to you, or not to treat you the way they did that caused you to need to forgive them, they're not going to earn it because they don't care. It doesn't bother them. And so why are you carrying around their burden, that hurt they put? You're only harming yourself. So I think that's the biggest thing that people need to understand is forgiveness is for you.
Yes. I love that so much. Forgiveness, letting something go, doesn't mean that you're welcoming that person back into your life. I think that was the hardest thing for me to wrap my head around is forgiving someone for the mistakes they made or the harm they caused me didn't mean I was calling them up and saying, I forgive you. Let's go have coffee. It doesn't have to mean that. It could, but it doesn't have to mean that. It's really an energetic mindset shift that those things are no longer holding you back. And I'd love for you to talk a little bit about how it came to you that this was so important. Tell us a little bit about your story.
My story, I've always believed in forgiveness, but I never knew the importance of it. But 10 years ago, I found out my husband was cheating on me. And I can tell you that I found out in the worst way possible. My daughter, her iPod Touch was synced to his phone. And she was in 6th grade at the time. and she was visiting his parents in California. We lived in Arizona. And she called me up. It was like on a Monday morning. And she was whispering. She's like, Mom, she goes, I think Dad has a girlfriend. And I'm like, well, babe, why would you say that? Completely
She
over
was in sixth grade.
sixth grade.
Lord.
Man, it was horrible. And I said, well, babe, why do you think that? She goes, well, I'm getting a lot of messages and I'm getting a lot of pictures. And I said, can you send those to me? She was able to do that. And it was sex, texts, and pictures of the worst thing you can imagine for yourself, much less a little girl. Yes, it was horrifying. And so that's how I found out through my 11-year-old daughter at the time. And, that is what really started my journey on forgiveness, because I was devastated. I was truly devastated. And, when you're a person that doesn't cheat, doesn't lie, is pretty upfront about everything, you give people the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Which I did many times over. I mean, as I reflect back, there were all kinds of signs, but I chose not to see it. Was raising 2 daughters with this man. I love my daughters dearly. But when I found that out, it just floored me. It absolutely floored me. And that really started me on a journey of healing, because I thought I wanted to make the marriage work. Everyone's, oh, you've got to make it work. You've got a family. I tried that. I really did. And I thought, okay, I have to heal myself. And so I learned every healing modality. I am a Reiki master. I am a, hypnosis, sound therapy, cellular memory therapy, everything you could think of. And while I was using it on myself and I was feeling better, there came a time that I just had to say, this isn't working. This is not working for you. And my hair started falling out, and I would just scratch until I was bleeding. My skin was bleeding. And what I came to find out was it was that I had left out forgiveness. And when I found that out, I started really using and utilizing forgiveness. And I know you've heard of Ho'oponopono, the ancient Hawaiian forgiveness practice. And I thought, how can this help me? This is free. That was my first thought. After going to therapy and after
It's too easy, doesn't it?
It's too easy. It's free. It can't possibly work.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, I have guides and I do get downloads, and I can hear from the other side things that I'm being told. And they said, just try it. Just try it. And so I started every night. I would just say it over and over and over. 4 phrases. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. And thank you. Was doing it for myself at that time. I didn't really understand the workings of forgiveness, but I knew as I was going through this, I started lifting up in energy, in spirit, and all of a sudden things started just melting away. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is powerful. People need to know about this. And so that really is where my journey started with forgiveness. And to this day, when you're in ego and you're thinking about forgiveness, ego will block you, because people think, oh, well, I'm not going to forgive them for what they did to me. But ego oftentimes tells you lies. I stripped myself of the ego. I forgave him. I actually told him that. And he thought that meant I wanted to get back with him, like you say, that you don't. And he told my daughter, she says, your mom talks about it, but she's not living it. Not understanding that forgiveness doesn't mean I want to be married to you, doesn't mean I want to hang out with you, doesn't mean I ever really want to talk to you again. But people don't understand that. But that gave me the freedom to start moving forward again, to start understanding that if this could help me, it can help a lot more people than just me.
Yeah. Well, the connection to, you mentioned the connection to energy. And, when you're stuck in all of those negative emotions of anger, frustration, resentment, all of those lower vibrational energies, you can't get to the higher vibrational energies of peace and love and all. So it almost keeps you out of the highest and best version of yourself when you're stuck in those lower energies. So forgiveness can really be a vibe raiser from what you're saying. And well, I just absolutely love that. And let me ask you this. Isn't it interesting how your own journey actually informs what you're doing for a living, helping others?
It amazes me because I never saw myself doing this ever. I was my career was real estate, was lending, selling homes. I really loved the lending aspect, flipping real estate, fix and flips. And I would still do that. But right now, with what we're going through, with all the anger and the animosity and our world literally changing and starting to, if you look around, we are in turmoil.
Yes.
And we don't have to be. Individually, we can raise our vibration, which heals others, and we become that ripple that just goes out. I don't watch the news, Suzanne. I will not turn that on.
I don't either.
I can't. I can't go there. It's too painful for me. And what my thought about that is there's certain things we can't do anything about. For the most part, it's determined by politicians, the powers that be, whatever you want to call it. But I can be good within myself, and I can teach others to be good within themselves.
Yes.
And get rid of that angst and all those lower vibrations of fear. You can either live in fear or you can live in love, and they're two different things. And just by the mentality you keep to wake up, there's always something to be grateful for. There really is. I wake up in gratitude every day, just with my first breath, that miracle of my first breath, when I realize I again get to wake up and be alive.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think, the appreciation of the small things, most of my clients are entrepreneurs or business owners. And, when they get stuck in those negative things, whether it's lack of clients, lack of money, lack of income. Oh, what I'm doing isn't working. Well, yeah, that's part of the entrepreneurial journey. And if you allow the negative emotions to kick in over it, it's really going to prevent you from taking action and moving forward. And with forgiveness, I think forgiving mistakes was huge for me personally, because I've made lots of them. And, those biggest mistakes are what fueled lessons about owning a business, starting a business, running a business, scaling a business. Wow. Isn't it interesting that it's the mistakes and the screw ups and the losing money what really fueled my education? Well, isn't that interesting?
Absolutely.
And by forgiving those mistakes, that's how we find the gold. That's how we find the lessons. But if I had been stuck in, that mistake, and I lost all that money, and instead finding the message and the gold and the lesson, really, really powerful business decisions can be made from that point of view.
Absolutely. And you know what I tell people? It's not failure. It's not failure. What you have to do, you have to look at it and you have to reframe it. And I even do that with my husband cheating. And I reframed it to, it didn't happen to me, it happened for me. Because if I had not had that lesson, I would not be here talking to you today.
Yeah.
And while it hurt and it was painful, I have since released it and I've moved on. And when you reframe it that way, that it happened for me, you don't victimize yourself. It
Yeah.
happened to me, poor me. Oh my gosh, feel sorry for me. No, I don't want that. I want to rise above that and use that as a power I have to help someone else on their journey. And this is just, it's been over 10 years of learning for me, learning different things. And people think they can't move forward, and you can always move forward. It is your mindset. What do you want to do? Do you want to be and victimize yourself in fear, or do you want to come out on the other side as powerful?
Yeah. And
That's a choice.
it's really a choice. That's what I was going to say. It's really a choice. And I remember my very first life coaching client back in 2008 or 9. And I was introduced to her, and she hadn't left her house in 8 years. She was running a company and was a shut-in, basically, had food delivered, clothes delivered, everything, did not leave her house. And when I met her, I went to her house and we met and we had this conversation. And as she told me her story of the mistakes and the loss and the grief and the this and the that, I was checking off some mental boxes for myself. Like, yeah, that's happened to me. Yeah, that happened to me too. Yep, that too. And I walked out of that session with her and I got in my car and I cried. I cried tears of thanks and appreciation for the fact that all of those things that had happened to her and resulted in her being a shut-in and scared of people and on and on and on actually fueled me in the opposite direction. And it wasn't until that moment when I realized everything is a choice. Losing a parent, losing a spouse, a spouse cheating, all of it is a choice to go left or right. And what I love so much about your story is the choice to go right. And I just want to address, I'm sure this did not happen overnight for you, that it took work and self-discovery and self-exploration for that to happen. And what do you tell people when they're looking for that instant, I don't want to feel angry anymore, I want to forgive? It's not an overnight thing.
Not at all. And I always tell people too, failure is feedback. Failure is feedback. What could you do differently? And I have to tell you now, in reflecting back on my 10 years, I know that I will be working on this until I die. It's just one of those things that you have to understand. You're going to come up against obstacles all the time. But the minute you start forgiving and you want to feel better, you have to understand this is a journey. It's not about the destination. It's about the journey. And it is work. You have to work it yourself and to become better. And one of the things that I found is that when I really forgave myself, I looked at myself and I thought, some of those things I didn't do them with malice. I didn't do it, to be mean or cantankerous, but I understood at the time I only had so much information, and I used the information that I had and did what I did because of that. Yeah. And so it wasn't as if I was doing it to hurt somebody. I just didn't have all the information required. So what I transformed that into is looking at others and realizing maybe they didn't have all the information either. And so it was a little bit easier for me to forgive others. Now, for instance, with my husband, ex-husband, he knew what he was doing. He always did. But I forgave him for me.
Yeah.
And so you have to understand that there's so much to encompass in forgiveness, but that's really the first step. Because what I realized is I had this big puzzle for a long time. And it was like, okay, I always talk about forgiveness. I always write about forgiveness. And then there's healing energy and vibration. I'm like, how does this go together? I don't know how to put this all together.
Yeah.
And it starts with forgiveness. It always starts with forgiveness, then your own personal healing, which is your journey. Then you start raising your vibration. Your vibration helps you step into a fifth dimensional frequency where you've taken off the ego. You're existing in a different version of yourself than that one that was stuck in the third dimension. And that's where your lightness comes from. But people need to understand it has to start with you. You can't expect someone else to take you on this journey. It's really a solitary journey.
It really is. And if you're not willing to, step outside of yourself a little bit and look at yourself, and whether it's receiving feedback from someone else or giving feedback, honest feedback to yourself, I think that's the hardest thing for people to do is to really say, oh, I'm the problem. It's me. Thanks to Taylor Swift for that.
And regardless of what he did, there were two of us in there.
Yes.
So that's your mirror work. You have to look in the mirror, and you can't always blame other people. You have to look at yourself as well. And I knew I made mistakes. I acknowledged them. I apologized to myself for making them, and then I let them go.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just let them go. And
there's no perfect humans, is there?
There is not. And that's what this Earth School is for, is to help us understand what is, what isn't, the duality of this planet. And that's what I see a lot of right now, is that people don't want to admit it's them. It must be the other person.
Yeah.
And it's hard to look at yourself. It really is. It's like you look in the mirror. No, not me.
No, I didn't do that. Well, that's a perfect segue into, tell us a little bit about what it looks like when you work with someone, and what does that journey entail working with you?
Well, I will tell you that I have never had two sessions that are the same. Never. And the thing with quantum healing is where quantum is past, present, and future all playing out at once.
Beautiful.
And I will talk about how there are different dimensions of ourselves playing out. We can go into that later, but when I am working with someone, and what I do is it's a very subtle hypnosis. And so what I want them to do is they're going to guide me to what's going on inside of them. I can't be the leader because I don't know. But we start generally with breathing, because if you can control your breathing, you can control your fight or flight. You can control everything going on in your body. And the anxiousness, it kind of goes away. And then we do a body scan, because your body is brilliant. Your body will tell you everything that's going on inside it.
Yeah.
And that can take you back. And because of cellular memory, it's said that we can go back 7 generations, but your body knows and your body can find it. And so sometimes it'll be something that they want to take care of on the spot. I want to find this. But your body's like, no, you've got to take care of this before we address that. It's kind of like a sequence.
Whoa.
And so that's what it's like. But you are the guide. You are the one. I'm helping you along. I'm holding your hand. I'm using my words. When I'm doing that, my words are downloaded from a much higher source than me.
Beautiful.
I worked with a lady yesterday, and I was just given the exact words to give to her to walk her through her journey. So that's where my intuition comes in. And it's not scary. It's just something that I have always had since I was a little girl. I was that strange kid that, would want to have seances at age 10 in my playhouse. I don't even know how I knew that. I read books by Jean Dixon, but I've always had this. And
Wow.
each client is completely different. The journey's different. And two people could have the same problem, but I'm going to be told in different ways how each one is going to best respond to what I'm saying to them.
Beautiful. Well, that's really the trust you have in yourself because of the journey you've taken yourself on.
Yes. And, like I always say, it's not me, it's through me. And, it comes down through your crown. If you've opened up your crown and your third eye, the pineal gland, anyone can get information.
Mm-hmm.
We can. And it becomes a spiritual journey.
Yeah.
To have those abilities. And I'm very, very grateful for them. And when I was in the trauma of my divorce, they disappeared. They were gone for months. I was so shut down. So what I tell people you have to get rid of the trauma. You can talk to people, you can talk to psychologists, psychiatrists, but they often don't teach you how to get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to get rid of the trauma and the cellular memory.
Yes. Yes. Powerful experience to do that, to be able to let go of, because we all have trauma.
Yes.
We all have had negative experiences in our life. That's part of life. But what you're talking about is really the ability to have negative experiences and still, function at that higher level, fulfill your why and your purpose and your calling at a level that other people are going to respond to because of that trust you have in yourself, because of the work you've done on yourself. I absolutely am just in awe of what you do and how you do it.
Thank you. And I can never pre-plan. I can't anticipate something. So I go in, I have just like cleaned the slate from the last person, because even if it's similar, it's not the same. It can't be the same. We're all different. So what I say to one client is not going to be beneficial for the other. So I have to be guided.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Well, thank you so much for these insights today. I appreciate you. And it's been wonderful getting connected to you and experiencing what you do. How can my listeners and people on social media get in touch with you?
I've made it so simple. Everything is in my name. And I thought, if I keep it in my name, I can probably remember that. But I'm at Nicole Harvick at Gmail, all my social media. I'm on TikTok, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Right now, I'm doing a 30-day Open Your Heart challenge on TikTok, just kind of because it's so important to open your heart. When you open your heart, that's when you start healing. And so many of us are closed down. So, and people are like, why do I have to open my heart? Well, you're going to get yourself back, and you're going to gain clarity on some of your questions, because your heart is your true center. Yeah. But you can find me anywhere. I'm really easy to get a hold of. I'm very responsive. I have a website, NicoleHarvick.com. So just Google my name and I'm going to pop up somewhere.
Wonderful. And if you have trouble finding Nicole, just ask me. I'll put you in the right place.
Suzanne will tell you how to get a hold of it.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being a part of my community and a wonderful connection. And I look forward to more conversations with you. Thanks so much for joining me today.
And thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
You're so welcome. Thank you for tuning in to another empowering episode of Unlock Your Way. I hope you found today's discussion inspiring and you're ready to take your business and personal growth to that next level. If you're feeling as fired up as I am and eager to unlock that full potential, I'm here to help you on your journey and provide that personalized guidance tailored to your unique goals and challenges. Simply book a one-on-one coaching call with me and we'll dive deep into your business aspirations and see how we could co-create a roadmap for your success. And whether you're striving to scale an enterprise or just getting started, I'm here to support you every step of the way. To schedule your coaching call, simply visit the website at unlockyourwaywithstk.com, click on the Book a Call button, and we'll turn your dreams into that reality. Subscribe and review on your favorite podcast platform and on YouTube. Plus, you can join over 800 entrepreneurs in the Idea Lab Facebook group. Let's make success as an entrepreneur happen together. Until next time, I'm STK. Keep dreaming big, stay focused, and most of all, have fun while you're doing it.